Florida elections are always competitive, and this is a guy who, although he's much too liberal for Florida, I think he's got huge problems with how he's governed Tallahassee. He is an articulate spokesman for those far left views, and he's a charismatic candidate. We've got to work hard to make sure that we continue Florida going in a good direction.
Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis earlier on America's Newsroom taking aim at his liberal rival in the race for governor. DeSantis backed by President Trump in a state he carried easily in 2016. The president did tweet this: big election wins last night. The Republican Party will make America great again. Actually, it is happening faster than anybody thought possible. It is morphing into keep America great. We're back with our A-team, Hugo Gurdon, Leslie Marshall, and David Asman. What did you think of last night? What a night that was, and in particular this win.
And it's going to be an incredible show. I mean, granted, Florida, I think, is too conservative for Mr. Gillum, but the fact that you have a Bernie, I don't know if he's a socialist like Bernie is, but he's at least on the Bernie side, and Bernie was a big supporter of him, facing off against a strong Trump supporter like DeSantis is going to make it a very interesting race. And again, it will probably be lopsided in favor of DeSantis, but there's going to be a huge amount of money. Leslie can talk about that, coming from people like Soros and others. And that's the reason why this guy probably won the primary.
I mean, really, isn't it, Leslie, like a proxy war? I mean, it really is kind of Trump versus Bernie.
It kind of is in the state of Florida, and this makes it exciting, and we all have jobs for a while, right? Because of stuff like this. But what I also think it does in Florida, which is becoming demographically, quite a rainbow, if you will. And I think we're looking at black and white in addition, or seriously, in addition to far left and far right, pro-Trump and anti-Trump. You talked about whether or not he is a socialist. Although he does not say that he's a socialist, he does support Medicare for all. He does support abolishing ICE. And these are two things that are very favorable among Democrats. Not all Democrats in the country, but in the state of Florida because of the demographics of that state.
It was a decisive victory for Gillum as well as DeSantis. This is shaping up to be quite a...
Absolutely. I mean, voters were denied Trump versus Sanders 2 years ago, but they're sort of getting it down in Florida this time. I think I agree with the panel that probably Gillum is too liberal for Florida. And it has to be remembered that Donald Trump is more popular in Florida than in many of the other swing states that he won in 2016. And I think that that's probably going to help both DeSantis and the Senate race as well.
Can I just say one thing about immigrants in Florida? We mentioned this before. Immigrants are not all the same. They don't think from the same way and everything. The immigrants who came to Florida, starting with the Cuban Americans and then the Nicaraguans in the 1980s, and now the Venezuelans, are running away from socialism. These are people who don't embrace welfare policies. They have an abhorrence for a lot of the welfare policies that are typically proposed by people like Gillum because of the fact that they were promised the same in Nicaragua. They were promised the same by Castro in the 50s. They were promised the same by Hugo Chavez in the 1990s. That's why and it turned into socialism, and they know that socialism fails.
But the Haitians and the other African Americans.
Haitians have a great respect for the free market, Leslie. Do not.
I'm telling you, what we are seeing right now in the Democratic Party is we are seeing female African Americans come out in numbers we've never seen before, except when Barack Obama ran. And I do think we're going to see the same in Florida, not just African Americans, but especially African American females. And we've been lacking that group in the midterms, especially in the Democratic Party.
Meanwhile, I want to talk about Martha McSally. The president tweeting this: running in the Arizona primary for U.S. Senate, was endorsed by rejected Senator Jeff Flake and turned it down. A first. Now Martha, a great U.S. military fighter, jet pilot, and highly respected member of Congress, wins big, says the president. Congratulations, and on to November.
Yeah, I think Martha McSally did a masterful job. She didn't wholly embrace President Trump, but she also did not spurn him. She's a very attractive candidate. She's been a successful congresswoman. She's a military pilot. I think she has a very good shot, and I think that the Republican Party is going to be delighted that it's she who's defending this seat rather than one of the other two candidates.
All right. We'll continue with our panel in a moment.